In today's video, we're going to be transforming the points on a figure. So we're going to have to determine the coordinates of a point and then perform some sort of transformation to it and then find the transformed coordinate of that point. All right. So it says that in the figure below is translated down 5 units. What are the coordinates of the image of the point R after this transformation? So R is going to be translated down 5 units. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. You could move this down and then find the coordinate, right, of that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And that would be the point there. Or you can just literally write the coordinates of this point, which is 2, -6. And if I'm moving it down 5, I would, oops, didn't want to hit that one. You would just change the y value by subtracting 5. So instead of 2, -6, you get 2, -6 minus 5. Use your calculator, unless you can do it in your head, is -11. Bam. And it does that. All right, let's look at another one. Translated up. I don't want to do a translation. Reflection over the x-axis. All right, so B is going to be reflected over the x-axis. So B is 9, -8. So we have 9, -8. And when I reflect it over the x-axis, that means you're changing the y value. So it's going to flip up here. So instead of a 9, -8, it's going to become a 9, +8. So that would be your answer. So whenever you flip the x-axis, you change the sign of the y values. All right, let's look at another one. Rotated 180 degrees clockwise. All right, so with this one, so with P, this is -9, 4. Wonder right. Where are we at? -9, 4. Now, when I rotate this 180 degrees, it's going to end up in the 4th quadrant, right? And you just change the signs. In order to rotate 180 degrees, basically just change the signs of the x and the y. So you have 9, -4. That's after you rotate it 180 degrees. All right, let's see. All right, dilated with a scale factor of 1/3. All right, so the point here is 3, 3. So we have 3, 3. And when you dilate it, that means you multiply the x value by 1/3 and the y value by 1/3 by the scale factor. So whatever the scale factor is, that's what you're multiplying both coordinates by. And when I multiply 3 times 1/3, I'm going to be the human calculator, or you could 3, 1/3. It is 1. So it's going to be 1, 1. 1, 1. Yes. All right. Let me see if there's any others before we move on. I want to do another type of rotation. This is just 180 degrees. Okay. Let's try maybe a little bit harder. So now this is a composition, right? So now you're taking a point and doing 2 of them. All right, so this one, you're rotating 180 degrees clockwise, then dilating with a scale factor of 1/2. So my point here is -8, 2. So I'm going to write it out. I want to write it out. -8, 2. When I rotate it 180 degrees counterclockwise, it changes the sign. So it's +8, -2. So that's that. Then when I multiply it, when I have a scale factor of 1/2, I multiply both coordinates by 1/2. So 8 times 1/2 and -2 times 1/2 is 8 times 1/2 is 4. -2 times 1/2 is -1. All right. All right, this one translated up 4 units, then reflected over the x-axis. So A is 3, -9. 3, -9. When I translate it up 4 units, that means the y values go up 4. So then it becomes 3, -9 plus 4 is -5. And then it's reflected over the x-axis. So when I do that, it's basically taking the numbers and just changing the signs of the y values. So instead of a -5, it's going to be a +5. So when we reflect over the x-axis, you change the y values. So we have 3, 5. Yes. Awesome. All right. No, don't want this one. Let's see. Mm-hmm. All right, let's do this one. Reflected over the x-axis, then translated down 3 units. So it's reflected over the x-axis and then translated down. So -7, -8. That's this point right here. So when I reflect it over the x-axis, right, that means I have to change the sign to -7, -8. So I just change the y values. So it becomes -7, +8. And then it's translated down 3 units. So that means I just go down with the y values and you get -7, +5. One more tough one. Looking for a tough one. Okay. We'll do 2 more. All right. Rotated 180 degrees clockwise, counterclockwise. So this point right here, 4, -9. 4, -9. When it's rotated 180 degrees counterclockwise, that means I change the signs of both of them. So you have -4, +9. And then it's translated left 4 units. When I go left 4 units, that means I'm subtracting from the y values, x values, excuse me. So you have -4 minus 4, which is -8, +9. All right. So remember, when you go left, you subtract. When you go right, you add. And so that's my final answer: -8, 9. All right. I think that's pretty much all the types of problems we we might see with these lessons. I went over a bunch of them, but then we do one more with the dilation. All right. All right, here we go. Last one here. My point is -8, -4. So I'm going to write that down. -8, -4. I'm going to dilate it by a scale factor of 1/2. So that means I have to multiply both of these by 1/2. And you get -4, -2. And then we reflect it over the x-axis. That means you change the y value, or sorry, reflect over the y-axis. That means you change the x value, change the sign of the x value to +4 and keep the -2. All right, so this one just changes the sign of this one. So we have 4, -2. I went through a bunch of these, so basically just remembering just all the different types of translations. When you translate something, when you move it left and right, you add and subtract from the x values. I'm sorry, right and left, and they add and subtract from the x values. When you move it up and down, you add or subtract from the y values. When you rotate 180 degrees, you got to change the signs of both of them. And then also when you dilate it, you got to multiply both the x and the y by the scale factor. So all these tools are going to help you when you're trying to figure out the points of a transformed figure. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and always remember, whether you're solving for x or y, always give math a try.